A very good morning to all of you. We have been talking about different types of what we call poetic elements, and in which we refer to symbols, not symbols, but we have already talked about imagery, etc. In this lecture, we shall be talking about metaphor. In the previous lecture, we talked about simile, in which we understood that simile is a comparison between two dissimilar objects on the basis of some common quality. So we saw that the smile of the girl is compared with the sun, the shining sun. So what is the common aspect between the two is the brightness, we can say. Metaphor, I think we in the previous lecture we have briefly talked about metaphor. Metaphor is also a kind of comparison between unrelated things, just like simile. But the only difference is that in simile, the comparison is made by using like, the linking words like or as. Whereas in metaphor, there is a direct comparison. It is an implicit or hidden way. The comparison is made without using like or as. Okay, whereas in simile, like and as are used. So what we understand is that in metaphor, poet try to resemble two opposite things or objects on the basis of some common quality or characteristics. Of course, the same thing happens in simile as well. The only difference I just now mentioned is that of the use of like or as. Examples. Now let's have some discussion on the examples. Shizuka's appearance is a great poem. I can see here. There is a comparison between Shizuka's appearance and a poem. So what is the common quality? These are two unrelated things. Shizuka is a human being, a girl, and her appearance is being compared with a poem. Now, here, the common quality is beauty. So, beauty is one of the characteristics. Means it is appealing. As the poem is appealing, the poem attracts the readers. Shizuka's appearance also attracts the people. So, that is the point of comparison. Another example is the skies of his future began to darken. So there's a comparison between a person's future and what we call skies. So his future has become dwindling. There is no light in the future. There is no brightness in the future. So if you observe the dark clouds, no, we are unable to see things properly. Same in the case of his future. His future is blurred. There is no ray of light. That's what the comparison between these two things suggests. Another example is his words are pearls of wisdom. Now, here the comparison between words and pearls is made. Okay? His words are pearls of wisdom. Now, what is the basis of comparison? Pearls, they are shining objects. Same in the case of his wisdom. Through his words, his wisdom is noticeable. His wisdom is understood. So this is how on the basis of some common characteristics or quality. Now here, an example from S.T. Coleridge's poem, The Rime of an Ancient Mariner is given. S.T. Coleridge was a 18th century romantic poet. 18th century and early 19th century, we can say, because this start romanticism in England started in the year 1798. So that was the end of 18th century and then beginning of 19th century. Now we shall see this example. I shall read it for you. Water, water everywhere, and all the boats did shrink. Water, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink. Now here you can see the comparison between what we call here boats, and the person's thirst is made. The boats, the boats means here he's referring to the ship, SHIP. There was not a single drop of water on the ship. So by this he suggests that the people on the ship were thirsty and there was water everywhere. Okay. So boats did shrink, means boats, these boats are without water and the people on the boat are thirsty. The thirst of the people is reflected through this use of boats. Now we shall talk about the types of metaphor. There are different types of metaphor, and we shall have a discussion on some more examples of metaphors in the context of these types, with reference to these types. The first type of metaphor of metaphors is absolute metaphors. Absolute means out of use, means these metaphors are not in use now. So these metaphors compare two things that have no obvious connection. And this comparison is made for a striking, point, to make a striking point. I will shall see the example. She is doing a tightrope walk with her grades this semester. Now you can see the comparison. A comparison between her performance in the semester and a tightrope walk is made. Tarevarchi kasrat, we say in Marathi. So these are very common kind of metaphors. तिची तारेवरची कसरत चाललेली आहे. Okay, marks मिळवण्यासाठी. So the comparison between her study, examination, and tightrope walking is made here. So it is as difficult as walking on the road. Another type of metaphor is dead metaphors. Now, dead metaphors are like cliches. Now, cliches are again a very commonly found usage. Actually, there is over usage of such words. For example, you light up my life. You commonly come across such kind of uses or usage. You light up my life. मेरी जिंदगी में क्या बोलते हैं उसको उजाला फैला दो. So here, मेरे जिंदगी में उजाला फैला दो. You light up my life. You can understand there is a comparison between someone's arrival and in the life and the switching of the light, switching on of the light. So this is the comparison, but these are very overused comparisons, we can say, very commonly used. Okay, we say any diva lavla hai ka, we say in Marathi as well. So these are very commonly found. Then we have extended metaphors. Now extended metaphors sound exactly. These are exactly as they sound. Means they are lengthy metaphors. Extended means lengthy. Through the word itself, it becomes clear. And these extended metaphors are intended to create deep comparisons. Okay, so we can come across such kind of comparisons in the classical works like Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. But soft, what light through yonder windows breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, who is already sick and pale with grief. It's a very beautiful comparison. Throughout all lines, we come across the use of metaphor. But soft, what light through yonder windows breaks? What light through yonder? Yonder means that. Through that window, some light is coming, and that is the east. And Juliet is a lady, and she's being compared with the sun. She is bringing that light through the window. Now, here, window also stands for life. Okay, window of mind. मनाची खिडकी. मनाच्या त्या खिडकीद्वारे कोणता प्रकाश येत आहे? हे तर ज्युलिएट आहे, ही तर ज्युलिएट आहे. ज्युलिएट नावाचा प्रकाश, ज्युलिएट माझ्या जीवनामध्ये प्रकाश घेऊन येत आहे. एक सूर्यच आहे. Then he says, arise. Arise means, O sun, arise. हे सूर्या उगवतो. Fair sun, O beautiful sun, and kill the envious moon. Now here moon stands for darkness. The moon is envious of you. He envies you, jealous of you. ओके, त्या चंद्राला, मत्सर करणाऱ्या चंद्राला मारून टाक. Now this envious moon is already sick and pale with grief, and that moonlight is very, very dim. Okay, so you can see the comparison here. तो जो चंद्र आहे तो निस्तेज झालेला आहे दुःखाने. Okay, now here moon stands for sadness in his life, darkness, अंधकार. जो चंद्रप्रकाश आहे, तो चंद्रप्रकाश हे अंधकार मिटवण्यासाठी कमकुवत ठरत आहे. त्यामुळे ज्युलिएट एक सूर्य आहे, ती माझ्या जीवनात आलेली आहे. त्यामुळे सूर्या उगवतो. सो दिस इज हाउ वी कॅन सी द मेटाफोर इज यूज थ्रूआउट द स्टॅन्झा in these particular poetic lines. These are the lines from William Shakespeare's drama Romeo and Juliet. Another is implied metaphors. The next type of metaphors is implied. In these kind of metaphors, two things are compared without using specific terms. As you see in the earlier examples, light is used, the sun is used, the moon is used. Okay. Now let's see the example of implied. Implied means something which has to be understood by the readers. समजून घेतलं पाहिजे आपण. Spending too much time with him is worse than swimming in a sea of sharks. Okay, this is an example of implied metaphors. Spending too much time with him is worse than swimming in a sea of sharks, means it is dangerous to spend time in his company. So this is what we understand through this metaphor. It is dangerous to spend time with him. His life will be in danger. Mixed metaphors. In mixed metaphors, we have jumbled comparisons together. And actually, there is no logic in this comparison. For example, in the earlier examples, we saw logic. For example, swimming in a sea of sharks. Sharks are very dangerous, sea animals. They can attack on us. There is a logic between this comparison. But in mixed metaphors, there is a confused comparison. For example, In the heat of the moment, she turned to ice and danced to the beat of her own drum. Now we fail to understand what the poet is trying to convey here. In the heat of the moment, now you can see here, heat of the moment, she turned to ice. Now, how can heat and ice go together? Means if there is heat, can't be ice. Means in a single moment, she turned to ice. These are mixed metaphors. In the heat of moment, in the moment sparked, and she turned to ice. How can one turn to ice in the heated, atmosphere and dance to the beat of our own drum? And ice stands for coldness. Ice stands for grief, sorrow, and she's dancing to the beat of her own drum. स्वतःच्या तालावर नाचत आहे ती बर्फ बनलेली आहे असं हे लॉजिकच नाही आहे कम्पॅरिझन ठीक आहे असे काही बट यू हॅव टू अंडरस्टँड ॲक्च्युली देर इज लॉजिक इन इलॉजिकल ॲज वेल वी हॅव टू फाइंड द मिनिंग अँड another type of metaphor is root metaphor or the plural form root metaphors. Now these metaphors are rooted in everyday language. In day-to-day life, we come across such kind of use of metaphors. Means even we use them in such a manner that we don't know that they are metaphors. Okay. Now these can be compared to again dead metaphors or cliches. We already referred to. You light up my life. Okay. दिव्याखाली अंधार वगैरे. So these kind of examples are very common. For example, जीवन एक प्रवास आहे. Life is a journey. Okay, this is very common. Everyone uses. You need not to be a poet for it. आपण कवीच असाल तर लेखक असं काही नाही. Okay, so these are the examples of root metaphors. So in this manner, we understand different types of metaphors.